Just literally stare at a plant for 5 minutes. Just stare at it. Just stare at it and just enjoy it and just think like, wow, like that plant's just living its best life. Like, why can't we? Hey guys, I hope you're having a lovely day or night wherever you are in the world. I'm Shandice, and in this video I'm going to be talking about embracing the present, how to be still and no longer chase the next moment. So if you watched my January favorites video, I talked about the fact that I want to read a minimum of 12 books this year. I didn't really do much reading last year, and I think it's because I was in the process of publishing my first book. And if you are a writer or an author, you know how you can get like so in the process that you don't really have the time to be reading like that. So this year I want to be more intentional about just expanding my mind, learning new things, and also just sharing the lessons that I've been learning. So the first book that I read this year is called Stillness Speaks, and it's by Eckhart Tolle, and I really enjoyed it. It was an easy read, definitely a deep read, but it took me about 5-6 days to finish reading the book. And it basically talked about just kind of taking the time to be present in your own life, not chasing the next moment, not seeing everything as a means to an end. Because well, I know for myself, and I noticed this even as I was reading, so like with myself having the goal in mind to read 1 book a month or to just read 12 books this year, I found myself reading, and in the back of my mind, I was just like, okay, like I need to get my 30 minutes done today. And then I had to stop myself and be like, Shandice, it isn't just about accomplishing the goal. It's about taking in the lessons. It's about understanding the words that you're reading and applying them to your own life. And I know that sometimes we can get so caught up in our goals and in the things that not only the things that we are doing, but the places that we are heading, that we don't really take the time to joyfully be in the moment, be present, and enjoy the journey that is getting us to where we want to go. So as I've been reading, I've been writing down notes and just kind of like lessons that I can share with you guys and hopefully inspire you and encourage you along your journey too. So 3 things I want to focus on in regards to stillness and living in the moment, being present, enjoying the journey. And I want to share it from a perspective of having a still mind, having a still gaze, and having a still life. And what I mean by having a still mind is being able to put time aside to be honest with yourself, to see where you are, see what you need, whether it be emotionally, spiritually, mentally. And when I say having a still gaze, we live in a world that there's so much to see, there's so much to be in. And like you think about like social media, there's so many opportunities to scroll and to be so like laser focused on what everyone else is doing. So when I say still your gaze, I'm talking about not having wandering eyes and not focusing so intently on everything else that you don't give yourself the same opportunity to focus in on your own life. And then thirdly, still your life is in the moments that life is happening. And so like for example, when I published my first book, so that had been a 10-year dream of mine. Well, no, actually that since I was 17, so like more than 10 years. And when it happened, I found myself in a space where I was like, what now? When you accomplish your biggest dream, it's intimidating because something that you once maybe thought wasn't attainable becomes attainable, and then you realize that you've only just scratched the surface. But what I had to do was I had to still my life in the sense that I had to pause and I had to bask in that achievement and realize how transformative that journey was for me, not just having the physical book in my hand, but giving myself a moment to realize who I was when I started that journey and who I have become, and take time out to celebrate that. So I have written quite a few notes because I don't want to miss anything, because like I just know how valuable it can be to have these kind of conversations. And when I think about just some of the things that I've been learning about stillness, being present, and also things that I learned from reading the book. So the first thing I would say is it's so important that we learn to still our mind and be present in the moment. Because if we miss the moment and we're always chasing the next moment, we're never really living, because we're always looking ahead. And I know for myself, like, last year was a go year, because as I was saying, I was publishing my first book and there were so many steps to getting it done. And not only that, I'm a business owner and I freelance and I do a lot of work in the creative and marketing industry. So like I found myself kind of just like going from project to project and really being like go. And I had to really take some moments out to just be like, Shandice, you know, live this, enjoy this, see where your life is heading. Don't just be running after the next thing. So whatever you may be doing personally or professionally, it's just so important to just be intentional, and whether that be in the mornings, having that 15 minutes and where you can have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, write down your thoughts, write down how you're feeling, what's stressing you out and what's bringing you joy, so that you can start realigning your life if that is something that you need to do. So another thing that I've been thinking about a lot is stop glorifying thinking. I'm a thinker, I'm very reflective, and even from a academic perspective, I've always been someone who is about theory, reading books, seeing how the theory applies to practical, and I would in some ways glorify that. But what I realized is that we can be so about thinking that we are in this like inner space that we're thinking more than we're living and we're doing. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't be thinking through your decisions and thinking through the life that you're creating daily, but don't be so in here that you're not here and you're not present and you're not feeling, experiencing and enjoying. There has to be a balance between being a thinker and being someone who is actually present in their life. That's a lesson that I am learning actively embracing, trying to be more about the leaves and the trees and the sun, and embracing the sun on my skin, and just, do you get what I'm saying? Like, and not just thinking about, oh, like the sun shines and the sun is hot. No, like, let me feel the sun, let me live in the sun, let me bask in the sun. Now you can apply that to your life by say that there's something that you have always wanted to do and you're always thinking about it, but you're never actually just taking those small steps to do it. For me, I spent so much of my 20s wondering if I was always going to be shy, and because I always saw myself as this like shy person. And what I realized is, I didn't even actually realize it until recently. I actually had a conversation with a friend where shy is no longer a word that I attach to my identity, and I didn't even realize that it was no longer a part of me, because I just started being bolder, being more courageous. Like, I couldn't think through no longer being shy. Like, I couldn't continue carrying that mindset of I'm shy. Instead, I had to just be courageous. I had to make bold moves. Like, I had to put myself out there in new ways. So just from that perspective of, there's nothing wrong with being a thinker, there's nothing wrong with being reflective, but don't think yourself out of the life that you want to live, right? Go out there, do things, try new things, be intentional about that, so that in those moments that you are reflective, it's actually more meaningful, because you're thinking about those joyful moments, or you're thinking about like how you're evolving, rather than thinking from the sidelines of who and what you want to do and be. So another concept that in some ways is blowing my mind, what I've had to really understand is how important it is not to become a slave to your story. And what I mean by that is, for so long I kind of thought that my story was who I was, and it actually became toxic, because if you're always holding on to a story, so like going back to like when I was saying how like I was so shy and there were so many things that like like I kind of shrunk in so many ways. That was my story. And what I had to realize is, no, that was just a chapter of my life, right? So yes, it's still a story, but it can't be who you are. It can't be your essence. It's just something that you've been through and something that you should still appreciate. But if we are always going back to who we were, how do we give ourselves room to explore who we are becoming and see our potential and see who we're growing into? So for example, right, growing up, I stuttered, and I still stutter sometimes, but I can't say that's who I am. Like, I'm Shandice and I stutter. That's no longer my story, but that's a part of my history, and it's something that I will still share so that you know where I was and where I am now, where I can actually have a conversation with you and not be afraid to talk. That wasn't always my life, right? As I'm saying, I can't come on here and say, like, going back to what I was saying, like, I can't be like, I'm Shandice and I stutter. What if I said that, kept on saying that every day, I'm Shandice and I stutter? I would probably be still struggling with that. So understanding that as we evolve and as we grow, like, we don't have to deny where we've been and where we've been through, but we also can't allow those things to become a crutch, because if they're a crutch, we're going to always hold on to them and we're going to always need them. We're never going to feel comfortable with evolving into someone new and truly uncovering our potential. And I think that, like, also goes back to truly understanding that, like, by celebrating who we are today is not dishonoring our past. It's not forgetting our past, but it's realizing that our past is not meant to chain us. It's meant to, in many ways, liberate us and show us, like, this is where we were and this is where we are, and we can celebrate in that journey and that process in being where we are today. So I want to get practical with everything that I have said so far, in the sense of, like, being present, being still, embracing the moment. How can we start practicing that more in the everyday moments of life? And something that stuck out to me in Stillness Now, the book, was that he made such a good point where if you want to practice stillness, so a good place to start, think about a tree. So go outside and look at a tree, or if you have a house plant, go and stare at that house plant and take a moment to really appreciate how that plant is just existing, being, doing the work that it is here to do, but so effortlessly, with ease. It just is. And I think that sometimes we think we have to overcompensate and we have to show our worth and show our value and always kind of be doing something to say, hey, I'm worthy of being here. And I think that there's something so powerful about being able to stand in front of the mirror and just exist and see yourself in that moment, to see your hair, to see your skin, to see your style, to see your smile, to just be beautifully, and realize, like, you don't always have to be doing to be able to celebrate who you are in that present moment. And I think that it's such a wonderful exercise to just recenter your mind. Just literally stare at a plant for 5 minutes. Just stare at it. Just stare at it and just enjoy it and just think, like, wow, like, that plant's just living its best life. Like, why can't we sometimes just sit back and just live our best life in that moment, rather than feeling as if we always have to be validated by doing something, or, you know, like, so that really stuck out to me. Just being able to give yourself that freedom to listen to your mind, listen to your body, listen to your spirit, connect deeper with God, build a stronger relationship where you're not led by the world's noise, but you're actually in tune with your spirit, your purpose, and who you are created to be. So that's my little chit chat. I hope that this was meaningful for you. It was definitely meaningful for me to kind of get my thoughts out. Definitely share with me when it comes to stillness or just being present, joyfully being in the moment. Are there, like, any new habits that you've been implementing recently, or like maybe there's some struggles that you've been having that you'll love to share, and maybe we can all just, like, help each other out and just continue to be intentional about being present in our lives. Because something that I do think about as us being like a generation who, like, I guess that have spent so much of our lives online, I do wonder what is going to be the outcome of this in 20, 30 years. And one thing that I know for myself, I want to get to the end of my life and be able to say, wow, like I lived in the moment, I lived in reality, and I wasn't always on a screen. Like I got to look around me and I got to smell the roses and I got to enjoy people, I got to create memories, and my focus wasn't about showing everyone that I'm living, but actually living. So that's just something that I've been definitely thinking about a lot. But I would love to hear your thoughts on just this whole like topic of like no longer chasing the next moment, but just living and being and embracing where you are and who you are today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one. I'm Shantice. Have an amazing day, night, wherever you are in the world. See ya.